someone clicking on the podcast expects basketball talk. So here is some basketball talk compared to moving to a new home talk and buying a new home talk. So
Okay.
what I did is each instance of things that I had to deal with this past week, good or bad, most of them are bad. um, I put down the things that it made me feel and what was going on in the situation, and then I tried to compare it to a team in the NBA. So,
Okay.
like for example, we had movers, we had a locksmith, we had a title company, our new neighbors, I should say, my relationship with Nicole, and our previous owner, and water softener. So those are the topics,
Okay.
and
All right.
I'm going to draw a line to each. So, which, if you care, do you just want me to randomly select, or do you have one that you're really feeling like we
No,
should
I
start
figured
with?
you had like kind of like an order or a narrative or something.
We
So just
can. We can. Okay, so yeah, I'll go in order of things I had to deal with. How
yeah,
about
okay,
that?
yeah, let's do that. That seems to make sense. Let's go in
Okay.
chronological order.
So first would be the title company. Obviously, you have to work with them to purchase the house. So I put down for them they were professional, they were efficient, but like a ton of money was going on.
Okay.
So I compared that to the Golden State Warriors. They're efficient. They're one of the top teams in the NBA. They are also 71K or 71 million, I should say, over the cap according to Sports Track. So that's a lot of money going on. They have the second best win percentage, best net rating, thanks to the best defense in the league, top 10 for field goal percentage and three-point percentage. So I felt like the Golden State Warriors were the title company I had to deal with. They were professional, they were efficient, but they also have a lot of money going on.
Yeah, no, 100%. I
All
mean,
right.
they play in a big market, obviously in San
Mhm.
Francisco and Oakland in the Bay Area. Yeah, no, it's pretty hard to disagree with that. I mean, at the end of the day, like the title company is responsible in that large transaction is what got you the house, which is the goal at the end of the day anyway. Warriors have brought a bunch of titles home recently, so
And I'll tell you what, they brought us they made cookies while we were signing our lives away to
nice. Love
everything.
cookies.
And guess what? The best part, and you and I will die on this hill,
Oh
they
yeah.
had
Oh
oatmeal
yes.
raisin.
Let's go, baby. You, me, and Nick Renowitz, we're the three musketeers of oatmeal raisin cookies. Nick's been on a couple old episodes, but
Dude, it
yeah,
it
no.
was, it was awesome. Like, they walked in and they had, like, regular, chocolate chip, and I looked over and I was like, "Oh my god, they have oatmeal raisin." And it was like, I mean, I'm not even lying,
No
like,
one's
this
touched
title.
them in weeks, and we're just going crazy.
Not even that, they had no, so they had an oven in that building,
Oh yeah,
and when they know you're coming, they make fresh cookies for you.
yeah. A lot of the
Yeah,
car dealerships do that. That's how they sucker you
yeah.
in. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and listen, if you're gonna sucker me in, you might as well do it right. Cookies is a great way to do it.
The amount of papers you have to sign, I'll tell you right now, was insane. It was, yeah, I mean, it
You need the sugar to give your fingers strength. Keep
I
signing
felt like
papers.
I felt like I was
You get
the NBA
arthritis.
players. I thought I was the NBA players. I was autographing everything. You
Yeah,
know, I
right.
don't even know what I'm signing at this point. Sure, yep, here you go.
You guys get half my house whenever you want.
Right. Oh, you can foreclose me? Okay, great. All right. So after the title company, let's go with the movers because we had to move from our apartment to the house. They were aggressive as hell. Um, they got into a lot of fights. They were 2 hours late. They broke a few things, which is kind of expected, I feel like, when you're moving. But at the end of the day, they got the job done. So I'll let you pick. Who do you think the team I picked for this is?
I don't like. I feel like it's Memphis because they talk so much smack in a
That's
good
fair.
way.
That's fair.
But I also
Yep.
don't think Memphis just. But like Memphis is fun in that
Yep.
way, and like Memphis is a fun chaos. Movers, I don't think are a fun chaos if that makes sense.
Yes, I agree with you. And but that idea of being like they're kind of crazy, but they're performing well was the angle I went with. So
Okay.
I actually picked the Miami Heat. And it's because they started the season slow, like my movers who were 2 hours late. They are top three in the league for personal fouls per game at 20 per game. That's where the broke things and just kind of recklessness comes in a little bit. And but they are getting the job done. Like we
They
said,
are.
they're in the top top three of the East, second right now. And I know they've cooled off a bit in their past 10. They're 5-5 in the last 10, but they were pretty far down there with the injuries earlier in the season. So I felt like that kind of fit their team's mentality a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, technically they're tied for first with Chicago right now, but
Oh,
they
they
Chicago
won last night?
or Miami has 2 games in hand. They split those 2 games in hand, so
Okay.
Chicago will have the chance to make up that ground or potentially pass them there.
Mhm.
But okay, yeah, makes sense. That checks.
All
I
right.
heard your moving tip was legendary too, according to Twitter, but we don't gotta talk about that.
That was yeah,
What'd
and,
you give him, 20%?
yeah.
What are you supposed to give him? It's like
That's what I didn't know. Okay. Here's the whole story with the movers, though, is they told me they couldn't move my couch. It's an IKEA couch, and he was
okay.
telling me that the bolts in the back of it's like an L-framed couch, and
Mhm.
they were telling me in the back the bolts were stripped, and I'm like, dog, it's an IKEA. Like you use an Allen wrench. It's not stripped, I promise you. And he's like, we can't move it. It's not getting out of your apartment. And to be fair, my apartment's a weird angle. It's a whole thing. And I just didn't feel like fighting with them after, 10, 15 minutes of going back and forth because they charge by the hour. So I'm like, all right, we'll just move our other stuff. I'll find someone with a truck and we'll move it. Um, which, by the way, I would like to point out the next day I had the thing apart in 5 minutes. Like it took 5 minutes to do.
Yeah, it's an IKEA couch. Like, it's not
Yeah,
hard.
it's three bolts and then it pulls apart and you take it out in three pieces. But uh, I could be petty about that with the moving company. But yeah, so that's also why I was kind of mad I tipped him so much. But I didn't know, but the guy told me that the house they did before us was a 5-bedroom house, and the guy tipped him $10. I felt like that's
Jesus.
real cheap. Like,
Yeah, that feels cheap.
so it was 125 an hour for them, and
Mhm.
it was probably close to 3 hours to move, 3.5 hours, maybe 4 at the most.
Oh, yeah, you gave him too much money.
Yeah.
I mean, I respect I mean, hey, good for you. You probably made somebody's day, but oh,
Very much so, but they also literally got into almost a fist fight with each other. They were brothers, so but
good.
it was fine.
Like,
It was fun watching. The guy had a Lakers jersey on, so it was whatever. All
he
right,
knew the team. He's probably had a rough year then too.
yeah, exactly. So all right, so then we will move on to the previous owner of the house. So when we moved into the house, we had signed an addendum with them that they could leave their stuff in the house until the next morning at 10 a.m., which was when they would come by to pick them up. We
Okay.
were under the impression that because of that addendum, we could still go in the house. It was just we were letting her keep her stuff in the house while we were doing that.
Mhm.
She thought it meant we couldn't go in the house at all. So when she came to pick up her stuff, guess who was in the house hanging out doing house maintenance
Right,
stuff?
just all the previous owner.
Yeah, so she got very upset with us. She yelled at us, pretty much told me I was an effing idiot. Very rude. Thought they owned the place, but got a rude awakening when they called the realtor and found out that they were in the wrong. So the two teams that I feel like fit in this
Oh, you got 2
situation,
for this one, alright.
I feel like it could be the Lakers or the Knicks. Both of which, because of the last statement, thought they owned the place, but got a rude awakening.
Oh, the
Both of
Lakers
them, yeah, I think Lakers fit that
it's
a
the
little
Lakers.
bit
The
more.
Lakers
Yeah,
are a way more disappointing. The Lakers are a way bigger disappointment than the Knicks. The Knicks are
I agree.
disappointing for sure, but, like, the
Hmm.
Lakers are a spectacular disappointment. Lakers thought they were gonna win a title this year. I
Yep.
don't think anyone in New York realistically talked themselves into a title this year.
Yep. And like you said, Lakers are 4-6 in their last 10 as of yesterday. I don't remember if they had a game last night, so that might adjust a little bit. They're 25-27. You know, they're most likely at this point maybe going to be hoping for a play-in unless something really turns around or they start, turning it around themselves a little bit. Yeah.
Crazy. I mean, both of them are playing for play-ins, really. I mean, the Lakers are the Lakers have a solid 3.5 game lead on Portland right now, and an
Yep.
even bigger lead on New
Did
Orleans, who I don't realistically think like the Lakers are more than likely going to be in play-in position. It would take a pretty for as bad as they've been, it would be a pretty like catastrophic failure the rest of the way if they were to not get into the play-in situation at all. Like it would probably
agree.
require someone being hurt. The Knicks are in danger, like actual danger of missing the play-in game right now. I mean, they're only a game and a half back of Atlanta, so that's the thing is they can catch, but there's a little distance between them and Boston for that 9
Yep.
spot right now. The
Yep.
Eastern Conference is tight, but it would be a pretty big disappointment if the Knicks don't even make the play-in at that point, just because you spent a lot of
Well,
money. Like you spent a lot of money in the last offseason to kind of beef up this squad and bring everybody back and bring a couple guys
and
in.
And that's kind of why I wanted to put them on there too, because I feel like, yes, like obviously the Lakers are, if you were talking about teams that are more disappointing, it's going to be the Lakers. But the Knicks, I mean, that's pretty rough too. I don't know if you saw there's a trade rumor going out around between the Knicks and the Lakers. It involved like Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier,
Oh, it sounds so
Westbrook.
it sounds so hideous, like,
Yeah,
all of that, because neither of them really like, the Knicks have more to trade than, the Knicks have more to trade than the Lakers do. The Lakers have nothing. Like, the Lakers
yeah,
have Talon Horton Tucker, and
yeah.
that's about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know how much a trade at that point would do anything anyway. Like, if you're not, I don't know if like what the
Oh, I think
trade
the Knicks
makes it.
should trade. I think the Knicks
Well,
should
that's
try
what
to
I
get
mean.
off
I agree. I think the Knicks should do it, but I don't think the Lakers should do it because, like, I guess my thoughts with the Lakers is like at this point, you might as well just
the Knicks
get done and go into next season. Like, you must be
essentially.
like thinking ahead.
You can't do anything, and that's
Yeah.
kinda so, like, don't make a win now move. The Knicks, I think you can just try to get off some of the bad money. Like, I don't know what it's gonna take, but it's like, yeah, if you can move Evan Fournier, if you can
Yeah.
move Kemba Walker, if you can move
Right.
even, like, an Alec Burks, I think that's definitely something you try to do.
Yeah.
I don't really know who is gonna take any of that, and that's the question, is a lot of that or, it's not like if they were to decide to move on from Julius Randle, which there's been some
Right.
whispers there as well. I don't think they're at that point, but at least with Randle, like, you can say Randle's maybe overpaid, but like Randle is still going to bring you back something.
He's he's gonna have that production for sure. So
Yeah, Fournier's not getting you anything the way he's
no.
playing right now.
Nope. All right. So we will go over to my locksmith, which is actually going to be a two-parter. Kind of a two-parter, I should say. So my locksmith, I scheduled him to come Saturday at 3, which was supposed to be an hour before the movers. They no-showed, and when I called them, they didn't pick up. So they no-showed. So that's Ben Simmons. Um, and then the second locksmith that I called got there in 10 minutes, got it done, was on time, very professional and very nice. So I'm leaving this one open for whoever we get for Ben Simmons is hopefully in this category.
We're going to talk about Ben Simmons later on Balling and Falling. I'm
Okay.
going to leave it at that. We're
Okay.
going to have a conversation about our Australian, or about my least favorite Australian.
Yeah. Well, all right. So then we'll just move on so we don't ruin anything for you. The last two, my neighbors and my relationship. We'll start with my relationship.
Oh God, Justin, you better nail this one, bud.
Okay. As you can imagine, with somebody that you care about a whole lot and there's high stress situations, you can get into a good amount of arguments, right?
No.
Trying to put back together the IKEA couch, trying to put together the bed, both beds actually that are in our house right now, trying to put the dresser in the right place, trying to get the TVs where they're all supposed to be right. There was, to say the least, a few arguments.
Mhm.
Um, but at the end of the day, we turned it around and we got it done. And we're good. And everything's good. Just a little had to have a team meeting and we're good. That probably gave away where I'm going with it.
It actually kinda didn't. Who was it?
Boston Celtics.
Oh, you think Boston's good now? I guess maybe our
Listen,
definition of
hold
good,
on, hold
like,
on.
hold on,
Okay,
Justin,
hold on,
Justin,
hold on,
Justin,
hold on,
Justin.
hold on.
Did you just compare your relationship post move to a 9 seed in the Eastern Conference? Because I think our definitions of good
No,
here
no, 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 no. Hold on. But they are what? They're 7-3 in the last 10. They are Marcus Smart said everybody's confidence is going up. They're turning around. We're starting to see them climb up the charts, the standings a little bit. That was more the angle I was going through. Not saying that Nicole and I are a 9 seed in the East right now, like um
they are
but I
playing
feel
better basketball. They finally
that's what
started
I
to win
mean.
a couple close games, it felt
That's what I
like,
mean.
but yeah, no, I'm just that's fine. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't think it'd be Boston. I figured it'd be like, oh man, we lost the finals last year. We went through some adversity, but we
Yeah,
got the
with
house
the
now. We're
Suns, we're
Phoenix,
back.
baby. We're cruising.
Listen, honestly, that's an easier way to go about
But
it.
we're
I just felt,
Chicago. We spent a lot of money, and we're top of the East.
but here's the well, that would work too. But there was a lot of arguments going on, and I feel like we haven't heard about any arguments going on in Chicago or inner team struggles in
Oh,
Phoenix.
everybody's just hurt. Everybody's just
Yeah,
hurt.
yeah,
And Phoenix doesn't want to pay DeAndre Ayton, but that hasn't slowed
yeah.
him down. So that's really best case scenario. So
Me, I am the Phoenix Suns because I didn't want to pay for the house, and they don't want to pay for DeAndre Ayton.
wait, so who's your water softener? Which is super vital
Oh,
in Jacksonville, by the way. Like, if
I
you've ever lived in
forgot.
Jacksonville,
Yes.
it's necessary. Like, you need a water softener.
So yes, water softener is actually a good one. By the way, like holy cow, I'm only 3 days in. My hair's never been so soft. My skin's never felt so good.
I'm telling you,
It's serious.
bro, it's needed in that
It's
city.
It's legitimate. I think I looked it up. I think where we live in Jacksonville and the water JEA, I think it's ranked like top 5 worst water in the US.
Yeah,
Like
I believe it.
so I'm not calling this team soft because I know that's where people are going to try to go with it because water softener and all that stuff. But I will say, to me, it is. Oh, did I put it down here? Where are they? The Memphis Grizzlies. Because I feel like them and the Bulls are probably the two biggest, like, quote unquote surprises this season of how well they are playing. Um, and so that's why I'm putting them there. They're third in the West, 36 and 18, but they have a good distance between Utah at 31 wins and fourth. Um, they'd be number one in the East by like a decent amount of games too, if you wanted to compare it that way. So I'm putting the Memphis Grizzlies up there because they are, to me, a huge surprise. I know the Bulls are up there as a surprise team as well, but Ja is just playing so good, and I needed a
Yeah.
reason to bring them up.
I honestly expect you to go like the Bucks route because Giannis is so dependable. They just won the title, and
True.
like low key, that water softener is the MVP. So, again, I don't want to talk about Jacksonville water for too long, but like
Well,
it smells like eggs if you don't have a softener.
true that. And on top of that, my water softener, the specific one, I have to put salt in it. So we could have went the salty route. Is there a team feeling salty?
That feels disrespectful to the water softener, honestly. Like you're trying to make
That's
it
true.
sound good.
I know. Well,
And
listen, the salt is what makes it good. So
yeah, it's said by margaritas everywhere since the 1400s.